Hi, amazing people. Have you ever been wondering on how to achieve a realistic and natural looking closure, just as this one as shown in the video, making use of a natural hairline such as widow peak? You don't need to wonder anymore, guys. In this video, I'll be revealing the secrets on how to achieve this natural looking hairline, making use of a 5x5 closure. And if this sounds like something you're interested in, please watch this video to the end. So I'll be making use of this pattern for this video. I'll be marking out 1 inch outward, and I'll be using my pencil to draw a straight line, that is a horizontal line. Down from that place, I'll also be marking out 1 inch. I'll be making use of the ruler and drawing out the horizontal line. Below this 1 inch which I've drawn, I'll be ventilating in the horizontal pattern, and on the side I'll be going in with the diagonal pattern, and on the side I'll be making use of that where I'll be ventilating the natural hairline. Then I'll be working with this ribbon which I've cut, and I'll be folding it in by 2 inch inward. So starting from the back, I'll be ventilating 3 strands of hair on that line. I'll be taking in 3 strands of hair. I'll ventilate one hole, I'll skip the next and ventilate on the next hole, taking 3 strands of hair. So I'll be skipping this hole and ventilating on the next hole, picking 3 strands of hair with my needle and knotting it. I'm making use of single knotting in this video. So I'll keep repeating this process. Ventilate one hole, skip the next line, ventilate on the next hole which is on the next line. And I'll be following this pattern on a straight line on the line I've drawn, that is the straight line below, as this will help to create the guideline as to follow on how to ventilate this closure. And please guys, make sure you're making use of 3 strands of hair, and I'm making use of 3 strands of hair for the back because I want a fuller density. I want the back to cover the lace closure, so that's when I wig it, the sewn closure is not showing, as there's a fuller density at the back. And this 1 inch at the back, I'll be dividing it into 2, that is ½ inch on one side, ½ inch downward, and on ½ inch downwards I'll be ventilating 3 strands of hair, and ½ inch upward I'll be ventilating 2 strands of hair. The number of strands of hair which you ventilate is going to determine how your closure is going to look, guys. So please avoid taking too much hair. 2 to 3 strands of hair is always nice. So I'll be ventilating it down till I get to the end, the pattern which I've drawn out. And if you want to know how I drew this guideline for this, I'll be leaving the link in the description box below. Now I'm done ventilating on the straight line which I've drawn, which has created the guideline. So I'll be going on to ventilating the next line, and I'll be ventilating in between these 2 holes, where I'll be skipping 1 hole in between them, and I'll be ventilating still with 3 strands of hair. And make sure you knot it well with your hand because you're making it of a single knotting. So you skip 1 hole, you ventilate the next. Make sure you have the next one you ventilate is in between the 2 holes which you have ventilated below. Why I'm making use of this pattern is to achieve a natural looking hairline. Guys, the hairline doesn't grow in a straight line. If you watch your scalp or a human scalp, the hairline doesn't grow in a straight line. The roots of the hair are not in a straight line. When you ventilate in a straight line, it doesn't give it this realistic look. So I'll keep ventilating one line to keep the next, going on in the horizontal pattern. So I'll keep continuing this till I've gotten to the other ends of the closure. So this is how far I've gotten making use of that pattern, and I've got it to ½ inch forward. And at this point I am taking 2 strands of hair. I'm making use of the same pattern. You ventilate 1 hole, you skip the next, and make sure the one you're ventilating is in between the 2 ventilated hair below. So you continue with this process until you've got it to the mark, the line which is marked above, as that is where I'll be stopping for the back, so that this back will help to cover this will help to give a fuller density and cover the lace closure. So you continue in that same pattern, ventilating one hole, skip the next, and make sure you're going with 2 strands of hair. So guys, I'm done with this, and this is what it looks like. I made sure I was consistent with the strands of hair I was picking, and you can see what my knot is looking like, so small and realistic. So I'm done with this back, and I'll be packing the back. So I'll be moving to the side, the other line. So on this part, I'll be going diagonally. I'm taking 2 strands of hair, I'm ventilating one O, skip the next, just like the back, but I'm going in the diagonal pattern. I'm skipping this O, I'll be ventilating on the next O, pick 2 strands of hair and knot it. Make sure you use your hand to knot it well, so as this doesn't tend to pull off over time, so the strands of hair doesn't tend to rip off and your lace closure is looking bad. So you keep doing this, ventilate one O, skip the next, going in with 2 strands of hair. You can make use of 2 to 3 strands of hair based on the hair density you're working with. Some hair has a thicker density, and when you ventilate 2 strands of hair, it's looking like you're ventilating 3 strands of hair. While some has a smaller density, when you take 2 strands of hair, it's almost looking like you're just picking 1 strand of hair. For the hair density or the texture or structure of the hair you're working with differs. For me, the texture or density is in between, so I'll keep ventilating 2 strands of hair, skip, ventilate on one, skip the next, so that I get to that midpoint, the line which I've marked as my midpoint, as that will be help me to separate the 2 sides from each other, that is the left and right side. So you ventilate 2 strands of hair. Now I've gotten to the midpoint, and I'll be stopping there, as this has marked the end of one part. So going to the next, I'm going to be skipping this line. There's going to be a line in between, so I'll be ventilating on the next O. Still the same pattern, going in the diagonal pattern, ventilating one O, skip the next, but in between this second one there is a line. I'm going to be leaving a line in between them. So now ventilating one O, skip the next, still going in with 2 strands of hair. Please guys, make sure you're consistent if you want to achieve a natural and realistic look. You can also make your own do-it-yourself closure, and it's looking very realistic. Being consistent with the number of strands of hair has to do with how a natural and realistic closure is going to come out. So when you go with 2 or 3 strands of hair, it gives it this natural look. And so I've gone off camera to ventilate it. So I'm still continuing with this pattern. You skip one O, you ventilate the next, skip one O and ventilate the next, still leaving one line in between these 2 ones. So doing the same pattern, I'll be ventilating 2 strands of hair, and I'll be stopping when I get to the midpoint, that is the marked out line, the line in the middle. I'll be stopping my ventilation there. So I've gotten to the midpoint, I will stop this there. So this is what it looks like going off camera. Though I'm not done, I just want to show you what it looks like. You can see it's looking so tiny and realistic. Just watch this to the end. You're gonna see how natural and realistic it's gonna look like. So I'll be ventilating and stopping on that part. I've gone off camera to ventilate both sides, and this is what it's looking like. And in between the midpoint, I separated them with 2 holes. That is, the midpoint is the 2 sides are separated by 2 holes. I'll keep doing the same, and I'll be stopping at the marked out point, that is the place which I marked 1 inch towards the front. I'll be stopping my ventilation there. So taking 2 strands of hair, so I will be stopping it there, that marked line, because so I've got it to the marked line. So going off camera to ventilate them, I'm done with this. I'm left with the 1 inch at the front where I want to ventilate the natural hairline. As you can see, it's looking so realistic and beautiful. Here's what the knots are looking like, so beautiful and realistic. So at this 1 inch forward, I'll be dividing it into 2, ½ inch forward, ½ inch backward, and with the ½ inch backward, I'll be ventilating 1 strand of hair. At this point, I'm ventilating 1 strand of hair, ventilating 1 hole, skipping the next, but I'm going in an horizontal diagonal pattern. If you want to know how I made use of this pattern, I'll be dropping the link in the description box below on the video where I made use of this pattern, which I used to make a realistic frontal wig. At this point, half inch downward, I'm making use of, like I said guys, I'm making use of one strand of hair. I'm ventilating one or skipping the next, but I am going diagonally, not on a straight line horizontally. And I'm also, just like the horizontal pattern at the back, I'm also ventilating the next strands of hair in between the two holes I've ventilated. But on this part, I am going in a diagonal pattern. If you want to achieve a natural looking wig, please make sure you make use of one strand of hair at the back, in front. If you want to achieve a natural looking hairline, if you tend to take 3 strands of hair, 4 strands of hair, you wouldn't have a natural looking hairline. That is the secret to having a realistic and natural looking hairline. So I'm still going into one strand of hair, ventilating one hole, skipping the next. As you can see what it is looking like. It's looking so natural. So I went ahead to also continue creating the pattern that is the midpoint, ventilating it to the end of the widow peak which I've drafted. So I'll continue ventilating 2 strands of it. While I'm at the front, I'm at the natural hairline, I'm making use of 1 strand of hair till I get to the marked out end points in front. So I'm done. So this is what it's looking like. I have created the parts. I also went ahead off camera to also ventilate using that line as the guideline, where I ventilated 1 strand of hair following the guideline. So I'll continue with the 1 strand of hair which part I'm ventilating on the ½ inch downwards, and I'll be going off camera to do this. So I've gone off camera to vent. You can see I'm still left with ½ inch forward. So on this ½ inch forward, I'll also be making use of one strand of hair. But at this point, I'll be ventilating 1 strand of hair, skipping 2 lines, and ventilating on the 3rd line, unlike the ½ inch down where I ventilated 1 or skip 1 line. But towards the ½ inch forward, I'm ventilating 1 O, skipping 2 lines before I ventilate the next one. So as you can see, I'm skipping 2 lines there. I'm still ventilating my 1 strand of hair, and on the next line forward, I'll be ventilating the hair in between the 2 lines to give it that natural looking and realistic hairline. So I will do the same for the ½ inch. Continue with picking 1 strand of hair, skipping 2 lines, ventilating the next hole in between the 2 lines. If you want to know how I really did this, like I said, I'll be dropping the link in the description box below on how I made use of this pattern, and that video gives a very full and detailed explanation. And I'll also be dropping the link on how I drafted the widow peak hairline in the description box. You could go ahead and watch it if you want to have more explanation on it. So I went ahead to do it. Now I'm done with it using that pattern, and this is what it looks like. It's coming out beautifully well and so realistic, guys. I'll also go ahead and proceed to do the same pattern on the other side. So I've gone off camera to do that, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's looking so realistic. The secret to realistic hair, like I said, is the number of strands you use in ventilating your hairline. See the mid part, it's coming out so well, and I'm going to be dropping a video on how I rigged this. So stay tuned, guys. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell so you get notified when I drop the video on this week. And this is what it looks like. Like, this is so beautiful and realistic. Can't you see? It is given, guys. And this is what it looks like placing it on the table. This is the back of it. It is looking so beautiful and realistic. And this is it after I've gone ahead to wig it, and I'll be dropping a video on the wigging soon. Stay tuned, guys. Wow, this is so beautiful. Thank you for watching this video to the end, guys. You're the real MVP, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and also to share this video.